Hello, students. I am using Zoom this time to record the video, and I hope by being able to share my screen, you'll have a better understanding of my directions, and moving forward, we'll see if this works a little bit better. So I'm actually going to go over what is due this Sunday, which is the Cold War Art Project. And I know for some of you, this is totally redundant because it was done, some of you actually finished it before we even went on our break. Some of you finished it in that initial period during the break, and I've also gotten some turned in this week. So I do apologize if you have already done this and this seems like information you don't need. You do still need to watch the video because one, if you did something incorrectly, you could ask me to return your PowerPoint and I can have you update it. Two, you're also going to be preparing like a 30-second overview of your project, and I'll talk more about that. So you'll need the information for that anyway. So please watch the video just to make sure you did everything correctly. And then also, again, like I said, I'm going to have you do one added piece, and we're going to hopefully get together to meet as a class on Monday and Tuesday. So I'll go over that in a second. So I just want to show you my screen now so you can see where I did upload the new directions. And I was hoping that this would be more clear. So I'm just using period 7 as an example here. So if you go to the Cold War Art Project, you can see that I edited it this week. And so if you click on the directions, you can see that now I uploaded these new directions as of April 13th. You're still choosing a piece of United States art, and there's different mediums. It can be an actual art piece, it can be musical, it could be a song, an album, a movie, dance, literature. There's lots of options. And you just need to make sure that it was produced during the 1950s through through 1990 at the absolute latest. And it should be Cold War related. So students have been, asking, well, how do I look for something? Literally just Google search, Cold War art, but be specific, like Cold War songs or Cold War art pieces or Cold War musicals, I don't know, okay? And then you can hopefully choose from that. So you're only doing only doing part 2. Some of you were asking about part 1 and part 3 being used as alternative assignments for the IA. I will talk more about that later, not today during this video, because I just want you to focus on this right now, because grading is still up in the air for teachers. We don't really know what we're supposed to be doing quite yet with that. So I don't want to give you information and then have it change. So just hold off on worrying about that. So part 2 is the presentation. You can do this as a Google slide presentation or PowerPoint. However, you will have to share this with 2 other students. So it will be you'll have to download it as a Google slide presentation anyway. So my suggestion would be just to use that. I personally like PowerPoint better, so that's why I put that as an option, but you would have to download it anyway. Okay, so the presentation should include this information. So, show us what it is. So maybe on one slide you have a picture or image of what the actual art piece is. And then the next slide, you could tell me the artist. So who created it, when was it created, if where applies, background information, whatever. Okay, so kind of like the who, what, when, why, where. And then number 2, on maybe another slide, you could talk about how this piece is reflecting the Cold War, whether it's specific about a war within the Cold War period, like the Vietnam War or the Korean War, or just in general, or if the Red Scare or communism, whatever. The next part is, does this piece seem to be more propaganda? Is it trying to invoke fear about communism? Is it something the United States is putting out to scare Americans? Is it something that the Soviet Union is producing? Or is it kind of mocking it in a way that's making fun of it? Because there are some pieces that I know, especially some movies, that they kind of make fun of it. Or is it like a story that is representing something that's happening in communism? Like Animal Farm's a good example of that, where it's like, we're talking about animals, but yet it's discussing basically how communism could work in the Soviet Union. Okay, 5, does this reflect or support Cold War ideology? So is this something that, again, is really tied to scaring Americans or scaring the Soviet Union about the United States? Or is it basically pushing against the government? And then if it seems neutral, explain that. And then number 6 might be the most difficult. If it's a movie, you should be able to easily find a critic. And a critic doesn't mean it has to be a negative response to the piece. A critic is somebody who reviews it. So anybody who reviewed it. So if you can't find a specific reviewer, so to speak, you could look up and see if there's any newspaper articles or journals that wrote about your art piece and see what they wrote about it and find a quote or something to go within that. If you're having a hard time with that one, just send me a message and I can hopefully explain that better to you. And then finally, number 7 is to just explain why you personally chose that. So, what spoke to you, or why did you, choose that amongst other options? And make sure that you're, making it interesting to look at and cite your sources. So try not to copy and paste with even citations. Definitely don't plagiarize, but also, try to put it in your own words as much as possible. Okay, and then here's your rubric there at the bottom. So this is your new direction. So the new piece that I'm going to have you do is we're going to meet together, and I'll add this to the assignment. We're going to do a Google Hangout or Google Meet on Monday, and I will send out more information about that on Sunday, April 19th. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet as a class, and I'm going to kind of call on you or click on you to unmute you for 30 seconds. Please don't go over 30 seconds because we don't have a lot of time to meet as a class. So please, I know some of you get really involved in what you've done, and that's great, but we only have so much time. So you have 30 seconds. And just real quick, kind of go over these things that I listed there at the very least. So what it is, please make sure you're doing a really good job of describing it because we won't be able to see it. So make sure that you give us a good description of what it is, why you chose it, and then just a quick hey, this is how it relates to the Cold War. So again, please don't go over 30 seconds. And I'll send out more details about the meet on Sunday so you can get ready for that. Times will be Monday, first period, we will be meeting at 11 a.m. Monday, second period, we'll be meeting at 11:45. Tuesday, 5th period, we'll be meeting at 11, and Tuesday, 7th period, we'll be meeting at 12:30. So I'll send out those times as well. Okay, I hope all is well, and send me any questions that you may have, and hopefully I can answer those for you. Talk soon.